my video. So we're going to be talking about this new system that might be heading towards the Caribbean when there's already so much flooding last time. That last system, it didn't develop, but it had a pretty big impact on the area. So what I'm going to be getting into, just going to jump into it. There was a lot of flooding in the last system for these islands, and it was catastrophic. And this system is now lifting away with some still rain. You can still have some half an inch to an inch of rain today, and then that system moves out, and you can still have some thunderstorms around here as that tropical wave comes through. And this is what I'm going to be looking at. So this tropical wave is going to move into this and cause more flooding, and it might develop, as you can see, still leaving some flooding behind. See this cold front right here? This is gonna have a big play on this system. So this may be weak, a tropical depression at this point, which is pretty strong. When it might weaken, as it's showing on the DFS model, it's supposed to go around here as this front picks it up. It's going to start to strengthen at the last second, though, and kind of reform around the 31st, and might have a weak tropical storm. Still will have that flooding across there. And this outflow, it has a really good outflow, which is pushing away all this wind shear. So it's making a little pocket here for it to develop. And as you go on in time, you see it kind of fluctuates in strength, and this front starts to pick it up, and it starts to move this way out. But it's still, if it is anything, it probably will make landfall in these areas: the Dominican Republic, southern Cuba, and maybe some parts of Jamaica. And it starts stall for for a few days, and then gets picked up by this front and leaves. But it still causes a lot of flooding into these areas that have already been hit way too hard with rain. And it still might have a pocket to develop here. That low pressure system is way up here, and this front still might bring some rain into the Bahamas and Florida. And yeah, and it would probably weaken, but it would still bring the increased rain chance for these islands, which would make a lot more flooding. So this is about about an 8-day flooding event. This is going to be more catastrophic than ever. This might be record breaking. You have to recover anytime. If there's any point to recover, I will post a video about it, and so you guys can get some relief from the Caribbean. And I see your views also. I really appreciate that you are liking my videos. So we go on as this low pressure leaves, and still some flooding and thunderstorms still here. even though this system is right about here, and the main system is up here. So, and this is the next system right here that's going to bring some severe weather with this high pressure system right here, blocking this pressure system is probably going to lift up to like this way, and it's going to cause a lot of flooding. And we still have, and this is pretty far out. It's about 1.5 weeks away. Still have flooding rains here, so this might be a 12 to 14 rain event because there is still rain and flooding, even though the main system is all the way off the screen. And once we get into that Wednesday, still flooding rains and still rains for the next day as this trough brings some more rain as school closes. At least school will be closed for summer break, so we don't have to deal with all these tropical cyclones and these hurting these schools. This all the clothes will be in all of the schools will be on summer break, so this will not happen during some this will not happen during the school time, but it still may affect you at home. This is a 14-day rain event, and still 16 days out, we still have rain and spotty showers because of the low pressure system. And finally, this spotty shower still, this mid low. I don't know if this will develop because it's way too far out to tell if this will develop, but it's going to bring still an increased rain chance. So it's going to be raining for a while, and this low kind of stays here, and still kind of brings this um, seems like never-ending pattern. But at least it's not that much rain. It's only spotty showers and thunderstorms, and it's just some occasional fronts that bring extra rain. But besides the point, this it doesn't seem like there isn't any more tropical development in the Caribbean, thankfully. So, but the areas I'm going to highlight are going to be affected by this storm, and these coasts will be affected by this storm, if it even is a storm. These areas will be affected as this low pressure goes up here. And that's basically it for that one. I took about a 1/3 of our time, so we gotta just pick up the space now. So what we're seeing is, as you know, tropical development still, and this is probably going to develop into something, might develop into something, but it also might make landfall on these areas and still cause flooding. But it will still curve out, but mm, it will not hit the main U.S. but it will affect the Caribbean. It may affect some parts of Miami and the Keys, so you have to watch for that. Also, this might just curve all the way to the Azores, mm, and still bring some rain there. And we'll watch this tropical waves that come off of Africa. We've already had about 4 tropical waves, so already have had about 2 tropical waves. This next one, the third one, might develop into something. And that's what I wanted to talk about. Also, let me get a close up. So I don't know, but there might still be something curving up into Mexico. I would really like that because we are way too dry here. Like, way too dry. We need some rain. So, if this, I wish if the models would stick with this path when when the front just stayed up here installed and this low pressure hit up here. That's not the case. The low the low actually goes south, so this front will go even more south, which will pick up this system and throw it out into the Atlantic. This will be a slow system, so a slow developing system. And if it comes in contact with these warm waters over here, which I'll show you just in a second, it if it is going to be at its slowest point at the warmest waters. So it could blow up into a hurricane if it wanted to. So let me just pull up the water temperatures. So here we have those very warm water temperatures, 30 degrees Celsius. Let me just use a different color. That's not on this area. So 30-degree water temperatures, which is about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So, and you see the Gulf Stream heading up here, and the Gulf of Mexico is just about warm enough to for like mid mid August or early July. And these temperatures are running very high. So this low pressure system will curve into these cooler waters. So the chance diminishes about here, but it's still warm enough to support tropical development. But just north, just 5 latitudes above that latitude, is not very favorable, and the wind shear will still be pushing through here as that low pressure system brings that cold front and it lifts this way. It still might bring some rain here, but it, that mid-level low I was talking about could develop because these warm water temperatures are only going to get warmer. I expect by the peak of hurricane season this to be about up here. Mm, This line, I expect this line to be about up here by the peak of hurricane season, which will make systems that come up here and get picked up by fronts much more likely to develop. That's why this could be a record breaking in the year. More than 2020, which had 30 named storms, and this was not even seen in 2020. It was almost below average in 2020, actually. So, it wasn't even like this in 2020, and we had 30 named storms. Imagine what could. This is only May, late May. So, imagine what the peak of hurricane season would be like. Mm-mm. And so, these water temperatures might be good too. So, it doesn't have any signs of weakening until here. So, this might be a weak hurricane if it goes slow enough, but it might actually cool these waters, which will be really good for them later in the hurricane season when these hurricanes or tropical storms go in here and curve up to the about here, like Hurricane Ian did. Hmm, low pressure, then hurricane up here. Yeah, these warm waters is what caused Hurricane Ian to intensify so quickly and head into Cuba, then head into Florida, and then the Gulf Stream kept at a Category 1, and it hit North Carolina and weakened to an extratropical cyclone. So that right there is one of the one of the most highest temperatures. You also might be wondering how high these are. Even though it's a La Nina year, these water temperatures are usually about this, about 30 degrees Celsius, but it's slightly above average. That's why I said if this blob, some of this blob, mm, this energy curves into here and start developing, it can it can be a lot of flooding for Mexico because it's so dry. Also, I do want to watch if some moisture gets up to here, then goes into the Yucatan, then gets into here. There is a very high chance that this will be very hot, extending all the way up to here. If a low pressure system formed right here and moved this way, it would probably strengthen to a tropical storm if it was slow enough. So, yeah, hmm, that is pretty bad. So, I also want to show you mm, about the severe weather outbreak that's going on right now. And you can see there is a lot of storms lined up here. This is causing intense supercells. There's a tornado warning near St. Louis. mm, Flash flood warnings everywhere. And if I zoom out, if I can get this to cooperate. If I zoom out, let me see how many alerts there are. 43 alerts. There's 43 alerts on the ground right now. 29 severe thunderstorm warning, 7 tornado warnings is a lot. Severe weather outbreak is crazy. We still have 10 minutes left of our time, so I'm gonna use it wisely. So also, there's another hurricane scenario. If a tropical wave comes here, head through this, strengthens to a strong tropical storm, then gets picked up by a front right up here, it'll probably weaken and curve out to the sea. But if it doesn't, and the front doesn't pick it up yet, it'll curve up the east coast and either make landfall on the east coast or just head out to sea, but cause a lot of rain for the east coast because of this persistent high pressure. Well, it's gonna back off in, in the next few days, and it makes room for this low, as I showed you, to form. Still, and it might cause some more rain as these fronts come through the upper levels of the atmosphere start to get really windy. So this is good. That's why I'm not seeing any tropical development because there's a lot of wind shear still. And if something comes into here and strengthens so quickly, it literally explodes. And something weak is trying to get through here. It's gonna cause a lot of wind shear like this. When they cause a lot of wind shear, which will likely weaken this system. Mm. And if any system comes up into here, it's probably gonna get bashed by wind shear, and especially because there's fronts. And if a front comes down, then it causes even more wind shear, which makes the problem even better, which causes a lot of wind shear. But since it's a La Nina, it's going to cool down. So, mm, so this wind shear stays up to the north. Mm, but those fronts can still bring some of that still. We've got about 8 minutes left, so I'm just gonna end it right about here since we don't really have nothing else to talk about other than these cooler waters and these warmer waters, and and this pattern, mm, the cold fronts coming through here, and Bermuda still right here sitting right there. These fronts still have the potential to spin up something that might affect Bermuda. So I'm just gonna end it right about here. I hope you enjoy watching and see you next time. Peace.